La 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 lava, chicken. Steve's lava chicken, yeah, it's tasty as hell. Ooh, mama, see tonight you're ringing the bell. Crispy and juicy, now you're having a stack. Ooh, super spicy, it's a lava attack.
This song has been stuck with me ever since I watched the Minecraft movie. Ignoring the rest of the film, how good or bad that may be, the scene in itself is super inviting and really makes you wonder how the lava chicken would taste in real life. I'm going to be answering this question, and to do so, I'm going to be switching scenes right now and switching mics. So tag along, let's see how this is made. Okay, it's both implied by the fact that lava is in the name and also explicitly stated that the chicken in the movie is pretty spicy. Now, what makes sense here is not just to do a random stupid fucking Dave's Hot Chicken one they make you sign a waiver for, like cayenne pepper, 12 million Scoville units. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me because there's not a bunch of culinary enjoyment. There's nothing smart about it. It's like, yeah, sure, there are some elements in this world that are super spicy, and if we put those in food, then it'll make you cry and shit yourself, and that's not interesting to me. So what is interesting is a Jamaican jerk chicken, but not in the way that people usually make it. This is going to be a whole chicken roasted in the Adam Ragusa method, where you pan roast it first, then you fucking put it in the oven. And we're going to be using the jerk chicken spices and herbs to make a sort of sauce that I haven't really seen anywhere else. To begin, I'm going to be chopping up 3/4 of an onion. The remaining quarter I'm going to be putting inside of the chicken. It's pretty standard size onion. I'm going to be chopping 2 red chilies, one green, I'm pretty sure it's a Serrano chili, and just this orange one that was in with the reds, but it looks a little bit different just to change the color. You'll see that the color is probably the biggest downside of this dish, that the color doesn't exactly look like Minecraft lava, but that's a little bit hard to achieve. So, aside from that, we're also going to be trimming and cutting up pretty thinly a 1-inch piece of ginger, as well as fucking 7 cloves of garlic here, because you can't go wrong with too much garlic, and some of the cloves are very small. We're also going to be putting in a handful of small thyme into this. We're going to be doing stalks and all, whatever the fuck, just chop it up pretty roughly. And I forgot to show it in the original chopping footage, but I did put in a green scallion. And of course, you can't forget the most important spice for jerk chicken, allspice. You can make this with like cinnamon, cardamom, cloves, fucking star anise, whatever else there's a combination, black pepper, you can do that. But allspice is the best of all of these worlds. Next up, we're going to be putting all these ingredients in a high-powered blender. Bear with me a little bit, or bear with your blender, and whichever one you're using. Don't use a food processor, because this is a pretty good amount of food. It's like a lot of ingredients. It makes a good amount of sauce. So I would definitely use something like a blender, which has more volume, more room to do this. And we're going to be adding some liquids to this, just so it can actually blend. Now, the first one is going to be some soy sauce. This is regular, not low sodium, not replacement, not dark, not any special fermentation. This is going to be regular, very nice soy. Which I know doesn't sound very good in today's day and age, because you say like, soy face, but the sauce has been fucking used for centuries, millennia even, and it will be very nice in this. It'll add a bunch of umami, a bunch of nice saltiness. Other than that, we're going to be putting in some honey. This is going to be to create a nice contrast with the soy, and also to balance a little bit of the peppers, because I know, haha, white people can't handle spice, but this was genuinely spicy as fuck, even with the addition of the honey. And I don't believe any water is needed for this, right? Just if it's not as thin as you'd like, which you want it to be pretty thick, but like barely liquid, kind of pourable. You don't want it to be a paste, essentially. You want it to be a more of a sauce than a paste. So no additional water is needed. Just add more soy until it reaches the thickness that you see in this video around. And I'm also adding in a squeezed half lime. The other half, actually a squeezed whole lime, and I'm going to be using the other just half of lime to be putting inside of the chicken, along with that 1/4 of an onion. Thank the Lord. Alright, here's where we start dealing with our chicken. First off, we're going to be putting it in a cast iron pan while we preheat, our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. It's like fucking 200 something centigrade, or like 180, not even sure, like 190 centigrade. Then we're going to be cranking up the heat on medium to medium high on our chicken, and basically the Adam Ragusa method is laying it down on its back like that, so the thighs and a little bit of all the bottom side, which usually serves and functions better when it's a bit overcooked as opposed to the breasts, so all that has a nice place and time to cook. Speaking of time, I fucking almost burnt the time, so I'm using a plastic spatula to both put in the fire for extra microplastics and lower testosterone, but I'm also going to be using that to save the fucking time from burning completely. So, basically, leave this in the pan for either as long as your oven preheats, or if your oven's already preheated and the smell still isn't super burnt, right? You want to get this pretty well caramelized. So get the smell to a point where it's like relatively nice, relatively dark and caramelized. You'll begin to smell basically roast chicken until it smells like a roast chicken from the bottom. Now, I'm going to be doing here what I should have done in the beginning, and cover the chicken with a little bit of olive oil. Olive oil is perfectly healthy, not as bad as other seed oils. If you're worried about any of that stuff. I'm also going to be covering it now in a good amount of salt and pepper. Obviously, now I'm not going to be reaching on the underside. If I were to do this again, I would 100% fucking turn it around in the pan with all the seasoning before, get that all smeared and get that all in all the crevices. But this is still going to give us a wonderful flavor, let alone the sauce. So when it starts to smell a little bit burnt and the smell kind of changes, as well as the sound, we're going to be putting in to like a more dry kind of sizzling, frying, whatever the fuck. Basically when you feel like it's good from the bottom, and your oven has preheated, we're going to be putting in our meter probe thermometer. Honestly, the flavor of the chicken, honestly, in my opinion, is much more important than the texture. So it's not the hugest deal if you don't have a meter thermometer. I got this one as a gift, which is super nice. And so I want to be testing it out. This is actually the first time I'm using it. I'm inserting it until the fucking reader, all the reading sections are at the thickest part of the breast, because obviously that's gonna be what's cooked last, as we've already given the dark meat some time before. Until that, we're going to be putting this in the oven until that whole mixture fucking reaches 160 Fahrenheit, which means we're going to take it out and it's going to carry over cook to 165. Don't fucking freak out if you're like an Ethan Klabowski maxer and you saw that actually chicken breast is good at 145. Sure, but just recognize compromise and also not get salmonella. We're going to be cooking it to 160, letting it carry over cook to 165. Trust me, there are going to be no problems with dryness because of this. Right before we put it in the oven, we're going to be smearing all the sauce over, actually half of the sauce over, the other half we're going to be saving for our sauce, our gravy-like fucking mixture later. But once we smeared all this sauce over, all this jerk chicken marinade, I'm making it sound super unappetizing, right? But the smells and the aromas and just the fucking sense, the like feeling that you get from this is going to be absolutely wonderful. It's super fragrant, super nice, super breaks up the monotony in a super way. Next up, we're going to be putting in the half lime and the quarter onion, and we're going to be putting this in the oven, nice, it's been a long day. We're going to be putting this in the oven until, like I said, your thermometer of choice reads 160 Fahrenheit at the thickest part of the breast, or for me it took like 45 minutes. Alright gentlemen, these videos are no holds barred. This is the exact advice I would give to anyone asking me for help with cooking and nutrition. Nothing is kept secret and nothing is omitted. For this reason, if you find that this video or any of my others in the past have helped you in any way, please do me a humongous favor. Scroll down in the description, click on the first link there. It's going to be my online course, which compiles all this knowledge about cooking and nutrition. It's going now for an exclusive pre-sale price. Thank you very much for your time, and let's get started. Right, 45 minutes max at 400. It is going to look a little bit burnt at the end, but that is what jerk chicken is supposed to look like. Trust me, it doesn't taste burnt, and the actual skin or meat itself did not burn. If you're just like pretty kind of uninitiated and they haven't seen a jerk chicken before. So we're going to be taking out the quarter onion now to make the sauce. We're going to be taking that out, as well as the lime. We're going to be squeezing the lime in. This is just the residual fond and residual pan drippings, which we're going to be making very, very good use of because this is mostly fat, and so we can use that to make our roux. So after squeezing in the lime, putting in the onion, we're going to be putting in a couple of tablespoons, actually a couple of teaspoons, that was around 1 big tablespoon of flour. And we're going to be mixing that, cooking it out until it's relatively dark. This is going to be dark to begin with, so you don't have to cook it for that long. And then we're going to be putting in the rest of our sauce. And then once you mix this, you're going to notice it looks like it looks a little bit diarrhea-y, just a very, very tiny bit. Especially like, it looks like something you would serve in Resident Evil 7, the dinner. But please don't be fooled. It's going to be absolutely delicious, and it's going to be super fragrant, right? And it's going to be very spicy, live up to the lava name. This is essentially the lava for our chicken. Now, we're going to be putting in a tiny bit of chicken stock powder just for extra seasoning, and we're going to be putting in a good amount of water until it gets to the thickness that we like. After this is simmered for a while, it doesn't have to cook for that long, right? Because the flour, it doesn't take that long to cook out the rawness, and the mixture doesn't need any cooking. I just need to maybe like dull the harshness of the spices a little bit, but it's still going to be super prominent. And we don't need that much water, actually. If I had to guess, like maybe a cup and a half is the absolute most that you'll need to add to this. So for plating, we're going to be putting our beautiful lava chicken onto a wooden cutting board. We're going to be sprinkling around some thyme, also adding some lime wedges around, and then we're going to be obviously spooning on our lava. I also sprinkled it with some paprika and Aleppo pepper to enhance the redness. It looks a little bit diarrhea-y. Sorry for the voice crack over there. It's gonna look a little bit diarrhea-y, but just give it a fucking try. Give the sauce a try especially. It's gonna be absolutely ridiculous. So, this is how I would make the lava chicken, the jerk chicken, whatever you want to call it, from the Minecraft movie. Very, very epic.